Hello, my name is Lily Francisco, and I'm going to talk about Jane Austen's book Pride and Prejudice. First of all, I want to mention that I really loved this book. It was I really loved to read it, and also I love the movie. And what I really like about the book is that it's really like the movie. It's when I watched the movie, it was almost like I was reading the book. It's just so alike. Um, I really love the characters. I love the main characters, Jane and Mr. Darcy. I also love Jane's father, and I like no, I loved Jane and Elizabeth's father. And this book is, I think the time setting of the book is in the 19th century in London. Um, and this book is very clear how the families or how was like the beliefs of the society, because it was very common that the marriages were arranged. So this book begins with Bennet's family, how Mrs. Bennet and Mr. Bennet have 5 daughters, and all of them are very young. The oldest daughter is Jane, then is Elizabeth, and then the others. But Elizabeth is the main character with Mr. Darcy. In this book, you can see how the mother is always worried about their daughters getting married, and she wants her daughters to get married with a rich man. So when she finds out that Mr. Bingley is coming to town, is coming to the city, and he's gonna be renting someone else's house. I don't remember the name, and he's going to stay there. So she got really excited. She go to her husband, and she tried to convince him to present himself with Mr. Bingley, and she convinced him, and then they met in a party. And in that party, well, parties in that time were used like for men to meet girls in order to marry them, and they used to propose to their parents. They used to talk to the parents and, I don't know, make a proposal or something and ask for their hands. So in that party, Mr. Bingley he met Jane, which is the oldest daughter, and he instantly fell in love with her. She is actually described as very beautiful and very kind and very sweet, and you can tell that they had a click and a connection in the very beginning of the book. And in that party also was Bingley's friend, which is Mr. Darcy, but he is like kind of rude. So they notice that he is like very serious. They don't like to have conversations with the girls. He ignored everybody. And actually, Elizabeth, I think it's Elizabeth, I don't remember very well because I kind of mixed the movie with the book. But I think she overheard him speaking bad about her, that he didn't think she is beautiful enough, and she started like kind of hated him ever since. So in all the book, in all the story, it's all about a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of between them, between Elizabeth, which is called Lizzie, and Mr. Darcy. They kind of have like kind of, I don't know how to say it, like interest on each other, but they always confusing things and all that. So they also like Mr. Darcy is kind of falling in love with her little by little, because they always found each other um, unexpectedly. So as the story continues, um, Mr. Darcy fell in love with her. Actually, he proposes to her, and she rejected him because she thinks that he's a bad person. She thinks of him that he's very proud, since the beginning, since the first time she met him, and she rejected him, and he got really affected by that, but she didn't know that, and she rejected him because she had a friend which is he's in the he's a soldier. His name is Wickham, I think, and he started to go a lot to the Bennet's house. He got really close to Elizabeth, but he says that Mr. Bennet, that he was the godson of Mr. Bennet's father, and when he dies he gave him money, but Mr. Bennet never wanted to give it to him because he's like jealous of him or something like that. So that makes her think less of Mr. Bennet. So she really thinks that he's a bad person. Also, she finds out by her aunt that Mr. Bennet made Mr. Bingley to leave the city and then get away from her sister, and her sister is really in love with Mr. Bingley, but also it is mentioned that the sister is very shy. So in reality, Mr. Darcy thought that that Jane didn't really like Mr. Bingley, that it was just interested in that she was just interested on his money, and that's really why Mr. Darcy talked to his friend and he made him go away. So that's another reason why Elizabeth rejected him. So what are the main characters is Lizzie and Mr. Darcy. Jane and Mr. Bingley are also kind of the main characters, but the main characters are Lizzie and Mr. Darcy. And the characteristics of the characters. Well, Jane is a very kind woman, a young woman. She is also very intelligent. She is like very kind of in love with love, because she wouldn't marry any man for money or for just to have a husband, how it was very common on that time. And actually, speaking of that, she also receives a proposal of another man, which was Mr. Collins. She asked first. She asked for Jane's hand, but the mother told him that she was gonna get engaged with Mr. Bingley. Then he asked for the hand of Lizzie, and she rejected him. And actually, that was one of the parts that I like more of the book, when Elizabeth goes. When Elizabeth rejected him, and then the mother tried to convince her, and she is following her and asking her, I don't know, threatening her into she accepting getting engaged with him, and she don't want to. Then the mother goes to her father, to her husband and Mr. Bennet, and she asks him to try to convince Elizabeth on marrying Mr. Collins. And it was really, I really like when what the father says, that if the mother says that if Elizabeth didn't marry Mr. Collins, she wasn't gonna talk to her again or see her again or something like that. And the father, instead of trying to convince Elizabeth, says that her mother is not going to talk to you again if you if you don't marry him, and I won't talk to you again if you do. And it was really good because I really like how the father always care for her daughters more than for what they feel, and for them to really find a good man with whom they are in love with, instead of always looking for their money like their mother did. And if I identify myself with a character, well, that maybe it will be, I don't know if I can identify with them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe with Elizabeth, because I like the way she thinks and how she wouldn't accept other than love. And the narrator, this book is in third person, and the social context is well, when, as I mentioned, when the families used to arrange marriages. I My opinion on the social norms, I really don't like them. I think it was really awful and sad to arrange marriages, and also it was like a big pressure on women to find a man really young, and when they were like, I don't know, 27 for example, they were like I don't know how to say it, like they thought that they were already gonna be alone forever. So I didn't really like that. And okay, the climax of the story, it was when, I think it was when Jane rejected the proposal, the first proposal, and when Mr. Bingley's left. And what another big conflict was like the the conflict that Mr. Wingham and Mr. Darcy had about the money, that it was really Wingham, it was really a liar. And he also, another conflict was when he left with Lizzie's sister, and how it was very hard for her. And actually Mr. Darcy paid to Wingham. He looked for him, and he made him marry the sister. And okay, the interesting details of the story, I already mentioned it. The book was really interesting. I really liked it, as I mentioned. I really love reading this book. And if there is a moraleja in the story, yes, I think it is that I think the message of the story is to not to settle when it comes to find your companion, of your partner of life. Not to settle, just wait as long as you have to wait in order for you to really feel, I don't know how to say it, to really feel good and secure and happy, and I don't know, with your partner. I think the name of the book is going well with the story. I think so because it talks a lot about Pride and Prejudice. Actually, they have a lot of prejudices. That's what gives them a lot of trouble, and a lot of pride. Actually, it is really mentioned when they finally get to talk about the misunderstanding and all that. They actually recognized how they were so proud to clarify all that, and in order for them to be together earlier. They what I like it also like about this book is that they get to, because in most of love stories we get to see how they end up together, but I like how in this story they get to talk about what they think of the process of being together and how they fell in love. They get to talk about that, they get to talk about their mistakes, and they get to talk about all the families or all the friends surrounding them, and like being good with all of them and all of the family. I like that. And I will really recommend this novel, and also the novel, I mean the book and the movie. They're both like really great. And I think that will be it for me. I really enjoyed it, and I might read it again in the future.